Hey, good afternoon everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own chocolate mousse from scratch. This is surprisingly simple. If you have a stand mixer, great. If you don't, you can use a rotary and you can actually beat this by hand. It's just going to take a lot longer. Okay, so I've got 2 cups of whipping cream divided. I've got one in the pot on the stove ready to heat up, one in the fridge for later. And I already measured out the chocolate pieces. When I first started making mousse a long time ago, you had to buy it in blocks and like shave it off. But they have these pieces now, so I just get those because it's so much easier. Sugar. Now the eggs, I am going to divide them, which is why I've got the gloves, because I am going to keep the egg whites for another recipe I'm testing. So just crack an egg over a bowl and pull the top off, because if you're not careful with the edge parts, it'll crack the yolk, which sort of defeats the purpose of separating them. Now they have these little toys they sell. I have yet to find one that works well at all. So the good old-fashioned method of passing it between your fingers, I have found over time, is the absolute best. Don't try to squeeze the white off. It should just separate until you have the yolk in your hand. Pop that into the bowl. Do the next one. And if you are going to keep these like I am for another recipe, you have to refrigerate them until use, and you have to use them within 1 day. If not, then you just have to make an egg white omelet right away or something. Yeah, the key is to get it out of the shell as quickly as possible. There's much less chance of breakage doing that. Yeah, this one's a little... There's always one that just doesn't want to cooperate. Oh, good, that fell off. And don't worry about those. Those will just get whipped in with the sugar. So you got your yolks in there. Dump in the sugar all at once. And start that on low. And keep a small plate and a spatula nearby. You're going to be using that throughout the recipe. And just get that sugar in there. And once all the sugar's in, you can turn it up. Whip that on high for a minute or so. Make sure that there's no sugar left. And then what you're going to do is you're going to beat it until pale, is the expression. And you want to get it as fluffy and frothy and whipped up as you can. This is key to a successful mousse. Now you can see that it is not quite forming peaks, but it's really, really frothy and fluffy, and all the sugar is in. Check it again, that should be good enough. Yeah, that's fine. It's starting to form mild peaks, and it's really pale. Now, while that was whipping, I started the cream on very low heat. And you want to bring this to a boil, but I should say, if you're using gas like I am, don't turn it up so high that it will burn on the side of the pan. This doesn't take very long. So when the cream forms a skin like that, and is basically boiling everywhere else, you're good to go. Turn the heat off. Take the pot over to the mixer. Okay, the next step now is to temper the eggs. Okay, and do this on 1 up from low. And what you're going to do is you're going to put a spoon of the boiling hot cream into the eggs. Turn that up. What you want to do is raise the temperature of the eggs sufficiently that with the hot cream, that when you pour the eggs into the pot of cream, they don't form clumps. Okay? And you can check the outside will cool off. That's good. So we'll go back to the stove. There's a tip here. When you take the beater off, you're going to be using this again. So put it in a bowl or something but place it like this. Don't turn it the other way around, or else all the mixture will drip up into here and you're going to have to wash that again. I'm going to heat back on to low. Pour all of that into here pretty quick if you can. The longer you let it sit without stirring, the higher the chance that it can curdle. But this stuff tastes so good that even if the texture's off slightly on your first batch, you will not care. But if you do it right, the texture is just amazing. What you want to do is just stir that up. Make sure it's all even. You can nudge the heat up a little bit. The chocolate, toss it all in at once. And stir it up just until it's melted. And it's all mixed in. And you definitely want to keep it moving. This is a form of ganache. And because we're making a mousse, as soon as it's melted, I'm going to whip this again. So I'll take it off the heat, bring it back. Just let that sit there for a second, get my bowl set up again. Pour this right in. Okay, even now, the ganache is starting to thicken up. So you got to be fairly quick about this. I mean, you don't have to rush, but don't dawdle. Now whip it up. You can take a moment to wipe down the sides for any errant egg mixture. Transfer it to a clean bowl. Now, depending on where you are, usually in warmer weather, I would refrigerate this for 2 to 3 hours in the fridge because you want this to thicken up practically solid. That's the key or trick to this mousse, is that you want the ganache solid before you put the whipping cream in, and that's how you get that just amazing texture at the end that you'll notice. But luckily, I live in Canada and it's winter outside. It's a breezy minus 26 degrees centigrade. So I'm going to just pop this on the back porch for a few minutes and it should have the same effect. I got the camera for this because I opened the door and at first I thought it was snowing, and then I realized it's not snowing. It's so cold, the moisture is falling out of the air. Okay, so I put saran wrap just in case it doesn't get any water in it, and I'll just leave that there for a few and come back. Well, I just pulled this in and it formed ice crystals. Now, one thing that is important is to take the saran wrap off right away because you don't want water to drip in. Like the water just literally froze on the saran wrap. If you're going to be doing this in the fridge, put it in uncovered, because if you cover it and the condensation drops into the chocolate, it can seize and then you won't be able to work with it. But this is fine. And as you can see, it's pretty much solid. So I'll whip the cream now. If you're not used to whipping cream, there's a few stages. This is not whipped. I mean, it's starting to get bubbles in it. And as we progress, you got to be careful because yes, it is possible to over whip it and break it. That's when you stop and take a look at it. So that's not even a soft peak yet. Yeah, pretty much. Now that's really soft, so I'll do it one more go like that. But if you do it too much, it will break and it will turn to like clumps of fat and whey, which is like liquid in the bottom. And that is just fine because you can tell it's starting to stay inside the beater. Okay. Get a clean bowl. And then clean my spatula in the meantime. And then get your semi-frozen ganache, which should be solid but still have some give to it, which like this one does here. Perfect. You want it really thick but just not frozen solid, because then you have to let it warm up. This is just right. do is I'll try to mix in the frozen bits with the more liquid parts. Okay. Alright, once that's done, and get a scoop of whipping cream, about that much. Now what you're going to do is fold this in. So what that means is you get the spatula underneath the ganache and turn it over the whipping cream. Okay, what you don't want to do, and I'll just pretend, is you don't want to like stir it up like that, because you're going to break up the bubbles, right? And the bubbles are what gives the lift to the mousse. So turn your bowl, pick it up, turn it over. Now what's also important is do not try to chase out every streak at this point. You save that till the end, because you're going to break up bubbles you don't have to. Get another scoop. Not too much at once, and keep going. So that scoop's nearly mixed in. Another one. So that's the last bit of the whipped cream. So this one I'll fold in, and I'll fold it in all the way, because ideally you don't have any streaks in the final mousse. Now you can kind of stir through it at the end if you're just looking for streaks, but kind of be gentle while you're doing it, because you don't want to take the lift out. In terms of plating this, if you will, a lot of people will do it in individualized ramekins to begin with. Personally, I just put it in a big bowl. And then next, there's the issue of covering it. If you are going to cover it with plastic wrap, again, you don't want to just put plastic on the top because of the condensation. If you're going to, you press it down on the surface, but then I find you lose a lot of mousse. If you don't cover it, which is what I do, it will form a skin on top, similar to like chocolate pudding. But I like skin on mine, so I really don't care. I find it adds an extra texture to it. Get this in here and get it in the fridge and show you later after it's had a chance to chill. So you can see that even now, without being chilled, it's got a really nice texture. So what you're going to do is put it in the fridge and chill it for at least an hour, preferably 2. So it's been chilling for quite a while. I'm just going to scoop out a bit there and put it in a bowl so you can see the consistency. See, the skin was not that bad, and it came out quite nice. Now how much you want to serve each guest is up to you. You know, hard calories don't count if no one's watching, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. There's how you make chocolate mousse from scratch. I really hope you try this. It's not that difficult, and if you do, you'll know it's really good. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again.